All right, check it out. This thing is a 1982 XL500R. Pretty rare bike. They only made these in 81 and 82. I'm not sure how many they made, but they only made them for 2 years. So it's a pretty rare bike, and then they went to the 600s. So this one is a 500R. I haven't owned a Honda 500 in a long time, so I'm excited to get working on this one. Let's take a look at the VIN here, or the year, so you guys can see. It is in fact 1982, right there. Thing's in pretty good condition. I actually bought this from a subscriber. He had it up for sale for 1,200 bucks, and I guess I was the first one to respond to him. He said there was a bunch of people interested, so I paid 1,200 bucks for it, which I thought was a pretty decent deal, considering one just went for like 5,000 something online. So they do bring big money if they're in very good condition, which this one is in fairly good condition. All the plastics look pretty good. The tank is good. The tank is actually spotless on the inside. It's rust free. I'll quick show you guys the tank. This thing is absolutely spotless, not a single spot of rust in this tank, which is kind of rare for a metal tank like this. So the tank is great. It does have the gauges up here for turn, high beam, neutral. It's got the choke that works, ignition that works, on off up here. Throttle isn't stuck. Looks like it's got the brake still working. We're missing the clutch lever and the grip on this side. Looks like we do have the turn signals, high, low for the lights. Blinkers in the front are fine, blinkers in the back are really bad, all broken to pieces, not really sure how that happens. Missing a little light right here, which I think I have over here actually. This little guy goes right here, I believe, for the license plate. And then we do have new gauges for it. New speedo, so that will go right there. This one has 11,512 miles on it. I'm not sure if this is the speedo from this bike or a different bike, but still fairly low miles for this bike. We do have the skid plate, the chain, the foot pegs, a couple case covers. So this is the chain cover guard. We've got the boot for the carb. So the story on this is that the guy got it, and he said that he tore into the top end, made sure everything was good, and I think he did the valves, he lapped the valves, he said. I think the intake valves, not the exhaust valves. And I think he put a new piston in it, in rings. So he said the top end is pretty good, but he said he never got it to start up. He said compression was too much to kick over, and he said that the decompression mechanism was broken. So the cable right here, you can see it snapped off right there. So that's why he was selling it. He couldn't kick it over and he could not get it to start. He said he was squirting starting fluid down directly into the cylinder from the intake. So it doesn't look like he had the carburetor set up at all. And then the pipes were never on it because it doesn't have the little things to clamp on. I don't know if the guy cut them off or what, but usually they're just stuck on the pipe and they're not on here. So I'm not really sure how you would connect the pipe. We might have to order up a new one of these as well. But we do have a silencer, which looks in fairly good condition, so we can keep that. But today, the plan is to get this bike up and running, hopefully. Just go through the whole thing, make sure it's all good to go. Check for spark, compression, check the valves, and then just make sure everything is good to go before we start buying parts for this thing. Because it's missing a couple things, like the seat, the engine mount right here is missing. So right now it's only held on by the mount right, where is it? Right there, and then up here. So there's only two mounts holding this engine on. It does have the whole carburetor on there. It looks like the stock carb. It's a Keyhin carb. And then it does have like the filter box, the place for the battery that goes right here. So basically complete except for a couple items. Alright, first thing we're going to do is just see if anything lights up. As you can see, ignition on, nothing lights up. So let's go down here and see if we can hook up a jumper to it and get something to light up here. Because it looks like there's a small spot for a battery right in here underneath this cover. Alright, take this cover off. Right away I see like a ground isn't grounding out, so maybe that's why the guy never got it to start up. Or maybe he just never hooked up a battery to it. I'm not really too sure. It just pulls out like that. I've never worked on this bike before, this kind of bike before. Everything is new to me as well. Alright, so there's the place for the battery. We've got the positive bleed right here, and then the negative. Let's see if the fuse is busted in here. Yeah, so the guy basically got rid of this bike because he couldn't start it. And he said he tried multiple times but just couldn't get it fired up. So the fuse looked good. It wasn't broken. So let's hook the jumper to it. See what happens. It'll be interesting to see if this thing actually has spark. Alright, it is on. Let's see what happens when we turn the key on. Oh yeah, neutral light comes on. Cool. Does the headlight work? Headlight might only work with the started. Horn works. Blinkers work? Oh yeah, blinkers are working. That one doesn't blink, but it does work. Wants to blink. Alright, cool. So it lights up. I don't think the blinkers in the back work. Let's see. Oh yeah, it does. That one doesn't work. That must be shorting out back there. That's probably why it doesn't blink. See if the brake light works. I have to have the lights on. I don't think the brake light is working. Look at that. It's getting pulled down right now already. So that's constantly on. So the light should work in the back. It must be burnt out. Alright, I guess that's good. So everything looks like it's working, except for the rear light and then the one blinker in the back. I just noticed there's a place for the toolkit right here. Let's just see if the original toolkit's in there. That would be awesome. Nope, nothing in there. Unfortunately. You gotta check though. Alright, let's go down to the spark plug down here and see if we've got any spark going on. Alright, spark plug is on the left side of the bike here. Looks like the plug is in there, pretty good. Alright. Oh, that plug is in there. Wow. Oh my gosh. I don't think that's ever been taken out before. Alright, we've got the 18mm socket on here now. See if that makes a difference. Oops. Alright, we got her. How long is the spark plug? Holy cow. Not coming out. This is super long. Alright, there we go. Let's see how it was running. Oh, it's not that black. Alright. Does she have spark though? That's what we're looking for. What do you guys think? Will I have spark? Alright, let's go kick it over. You guys keep an eye on it. I guess we'll turn it on. Turn the ignition on. Alright, here we go. Does it have spark? Oh yeah. Alright. Cool. We have spark. We have good spark. Do we have compression? Is the next question. So it feels like it has compression. I just want to see how much it has. Does it have enough to start? All right. Let's see. We'll do throttle open. This bike is kind of hard to kick over, so we'll see if I can do her. Not very good compression. Only about 85 pounds of compression. Huh. Well, that's not good. Wonder why that is. Alright, so we found out it has lower compression, so I think the first thing we're going to do, set this thing to top to center, check the valves, make sure those are good, and then continue our way down the engine just to see what is causing the low compression. Because it's got quite a bit. It's got 85 pounds of compression, which is almost enough to start it, but just not quite enough, I don't think. Take a look at the valves. So the valve covers were off when I bought the bike. So we'll take these off and then just check them. One more cover to come out. Just kind of feel them in there. Turn it around. They're not getting loose. Maybe the valves are just tight. Alright, let's see if these caps come off. That one's coming. These have definitely been off in the past year. Yeah, that one turns by hand. I believe this is 17 millimeter. We're going to rotate it until we find the T up here. There's the F. Oh, we just went by the T. There's the T right there. I'll show you guys what that looks like in there. Hopefully you guys can see it. See it? T with the line. Then there's an F over here. You want the T. So that's top dead center. Now the valve should be open. And they're pretty tight, honestly. Not feeling any play. We'll spin it over one more time. We might be 180 out, but I don't think we are. Go one more time around. The valve should be open. There's the F. There's the T. And the valves are tight. Again. So I think the valves were just adjusted wrong. Possibly. Alright, so specs for the intake on the XR500. So intake is 0.05 millimeters or 0.002 inches. So right now, we've got zero play in there. Let's fix that. And loosen up these nuts on here. There we go. Screwdriver. Now we should have some play in there. Okay, now you hear it clicking. We've got some play in there. So now we're going to take the feeler gauge at 0.002. Right there. Just shove that in there. Adjust these. All right, that one's perfect. And we'll go along and do all of them like that. Hopefully the compression goes up. All right, and then same thing with the exhaust valves. Those are gonna be set to 0.004 inches on the exhaust valves. So let's do those next. All right, both intake and exhaust are set. Let's go down here. We're gonna rotate the engine over again and go 180 with the T, and these valves should be tight then. The valve should be tight if we're 180 out from top dead center. I think that we just passed it. Oh, no. So this is top dead center right here. We're still clicking, so that's good. And then we'll go 180 out from there, and they should be pretty stiff here. Where the heck is it? There we go. All right, there's the T, and the valve should be tight. Yep, cool. So it looks like that's all good to go. All right, let's get the compression tester in there again and see what the compression is at now. All right, let's see. All right, you guys keep an eye on the compression right there. Kick it over, throttle open. Let's see if anything changes here. Oh yeah. Oh, we're at 100, so it went up a little bit. That should be enough compression to start it now, but it's still a little bit low. I don't know why that would still be low. I'm thinking maybe the rings are stuck on the piston. So what we're gonna do is put some oil down the cylinder and see if that compression goes up. If the compression goes up with oil down the cylinder, it means that oil is seeping past the rings, and then as that oil clogs the ring gap between the cylinder and the rings, it causes the compression to go up. So, you know, if the compression goes up after adding oil, we know that the rings are either stuck or bad on the piston there. So we're just gonna add a little oil to the top end here. Alright, so it's gotta be rings. It just has to be. Just keep an eye on the compression reading here. I'll kick it over a couple times. See if the compression goes up at all. Yeah, that shot up. I'm still only at 100 though. Oh, I can't even kick it over past that point. So yeah, that's why we're not getting the reading. So it's shot up, and sometimes it's really, really hard to kick over. So we're at 120 right there. So the rings are, I think the rings are stuck to the piston from sitting so long. So I think what would be the best case scenario is that we start it up and then the rings come loose. I'm going to put a little penetrating oil down the cylinder and just let it soak for a little bit. But we might have to tear down the top end. All right, before we go hooking up the carburetor, I want to do a quick carb clean just to make sure that's good and that's not the issue. And I want to check out the air filter box so we don't suck anything into the engine that's not supposed to be in the engine. So the box is right on the other side of this. So. Right there. Alright, let's see what's in here. Okay. So it looks like they cleaned out the old air filter. There's probably a bunch of mice in there at one point. But now it's all clear. So it looks pretty good. Alright, so we definitely need an air filter for it. Let's try to get this carburetor off. It looks like it's held on by the clamp right there. And I think it can come out through the side here. I think we can get the carburetor out through this side actually. Let's see here. Huh. There we go. Alright, let's take a look in there. I'm not sure if the guy cleaned it or not, so we'll check that out. Alright, so there was not a single drop of gas in this carburetor. So hopefully they drained it out before letting it sit, so then it would be really nice and clean. But most people don't do that. I hope they did. Alright, let's see how bad it is. Gotta get that. Alright, she's got a little crud in there. It's not horrible. That'll all come out with carb clean. Alright, so far not too bad. That comes off. Float sounds good. Needle looks good. Alright, let's see what we got for the main jet here. Looks like this maybe was cleaned. Main jet looks good. 128 is running for the main jet. That seemed really small. Seems really small for a 500. Alright, pilot jet. See if this was clogged. Running a 52 for the pilot. That sounds about right. That was clear. So, that looks good. A little O-ring right there. Can't forget. Alright, let's see what the fuel screw is at. So it was like this before. So 1, 2, about 2.5. So that was pretty much perfect there. There should be a little O-ring gasket in there. Alright, well, we can blow through this, clean it out with some carb clean, reinstall it, and we'll see if this bike starts up. Alright, before we install the carburetor, we've got to get this manifold on there and get that all set up. So it looks like it should work with the carburetor. That's good. So let's get that all fitted up on there, and then we can install the carb. Alright, we got the carburetor all installed, looking good. Let's check and see if there's oil before we attempt to start this thing. Alright, we've got the dipstick right here. Oh, there's at least some oil in there. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, it's about 1/3 of the way up. So plenty of oil. We'll have to do an oil change on this thing later. But for testing purposes, we will start it up with that oil in it. Alright, we've got to get the gas tank hooked up, gas line hooked up to the carburetor, and then the jumper hooked up, and then we can attempt to start this thing. All right, we've got the gas tank hooked up. Let's see if the petcock works here. Oop, there's a hole in the petcock. So that's not gonna work. There's a hole right here in it. So that's no good. So it definitely needs a new petcock. We're just gonna manually put some gas down the gas line here then. All right, we've got gas going to it. Let's put the choke on. There we go. Choke is on. We'll get the battery hooked up. I'm going to grab a boot and then we'll attempt to start this thing. Alright, she doesn't want to go. The neutral light keeps on coming on and off. I'm gonna check for spark one more time. Alright, it's still sparking with the neutral light off, so it should fire up here. Oh, she doesn't want to go. Alright, so after looking at the wiring for about an hour, we found that it was a bad fuse. And the fuse was sometimes working, sometimes not. So I bypassed the fuse. Let's try this again. We're gonna put some gas directly down the cylinder. We've got gas directly down the cylinder. Let's see if she fires over here. Alright, she doesn't want to fire. Timing's gotta be off. Because we definitely have enough compression for it to at least start. So, only other thing I can think of is timing's off. Which, if he did the top end on it, it could very well be the case. Maybe he set the timing wrong. So I think next video we're gonna dig into the top end and try to figure this thing out. Probably get those rings free, and then check the timing, and just go through the whole thing. But it's a bummer we couldn't get it started today. We tried. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for the first start on this thing coming up. Hopefully next video. Until next time, we are out.